Being a nice cool morning with the sun out, we might have some pretty good luck, I think, today. I'm just going to hold here for a few more moments while the wardens make sure everything's good in front of us, waiting for that final clearance to enter. And we are all set, so we are going to kick off our safari. And we're going to start by taking us through the Little Ituri Forest. Now, animals here do have good camouflage as a defensive adaptation, either in the way of their dark colorations or their stripes. So, right over there on the right, you can see one having both. That animal right there to the right is known as an okapi. Now, despite the slight resemblance to a zebra, that is actually the only living relative of the giraffe. Now, like okapis, giraffes will have long purple and blue tongues. Now on the okapi, they get very, very long tongues, about 14 to 18 inches in length. And they'll use them just as a giraffe would to wrap around the leaves of the trees and bushes in their areas, and they'll be able to pull them off into their mouths. That's a feeding behavior known as browsing. Now coming up here to the right, you're going to see two different species on this hill. So first you'll see those three greater kudus. Now all three of them are females, as it is only the males of their species that grow horns. And you can see up there those brown and orange animals. Those are known as bongos. Pretty shy animals. They like to live in very dense, deep parts of the forest. And here you can see this lovely black and white bird with the brightly colored bill that is known as a saddle-billed stork. And you will often find the saddle-billed storks around bodies of water as their long legs allow them to wade in, and they can use their large bills to spear fish. A couple more bongos here to the right. I mentioned they are pretty shy animals. They like to live in very dense, deep parts of the forest, so you can actually see that their horns, they don't grow straight up or straight out. They actually kind of curl backward against the head a bit. That way they don't have to get tangled up in all of the thick vegetation that they move through. We're going to have a look now through the Safi River Gorge. We're going to see just what animals are coming up to the river right now. The river itself can harbor lots of different kinds of aquatic vegetation, so a lot of herbivores like hippos like to come around the rivers. The river can also harbor lots of different kinds of fish, so birds and crocodilians are among the river's residents as well. We're actually going to see coming up here on the bank of the river, getting a nice bit of sun up here on the right. These are two Nile hippos. Looks like they are taking a nice rest out of the water in the sun up here. Usually when it's cooler out, you can typically find them out like that. I might actually see in the mouth of the one the large teeth that they have. The largest teeth they have are their incisors, which can get up to 13 inches in length. Very impressive teeth. They'll use them for defense as well as for intimidation displays. They are strict herbivores. Also on the left here you can see, looks like 2 or 3 of them in the water. Now they stay in the water for most of the day when it's warmer out. That's just to prevent them from overheating. They actually hold their breath for roughly 5 to 8 minutes at a time. You also see these large-billed, webbed-footed birds here to the left. Those are known as pink-backed pelicans. And they get that name from the slightly pink color that their backsides will get during the breeding season. Now, there are colonial nesters like most pelican species, so that just means that when they are ready to start building their nests and laying their eggs, they'll form colonies roughly 20 all the way up to 500 mated pairs in size, and that safety in numbers is going to protect them. 3 more Nile hippos there to the left. Very cool, able to get up to 5,500 pounds in weight. You can also see here to the left now these Nile crocodiles, the largest species of crocodilians in Africa, able to get up to 16 feet long and weigh up to 500 pounds. You might see the one holding its mouth open. Now when they do that, that is a behavior to cool them down, because when the mouth is held open, moisture inside will evaporate and pull heat from the body, lowering their temperature. So sitting in the sun, they might get too warm, so they'll hold their mouths open to keep them at a nice even temperature. Now they basically eat any animal that comes across their path, but primarily they eat fish. Their jaws are very well shaped for snapping at fish that swim by and through the river. Now we're going to have a look on the savannah. Now out here, the conservation of water is very, very important year-round. That goes for the plants as well as the animals. And if you look here to the right, you'll see this really large, bulky tree. Now that's called a baobab tree. You find many of them throughout the savannah. Now baobabs can store several hundred gallons of water inside their trunks. Definitely in handy throughout the drying season. They will go leafless like that for about 9 months out of the year. That way they're not wasting water trying to have those extra leaves. Out here, you might notice that a lot of these trees don't have leaves below a certain height. It's actually thanks to giraffes pruning them. They're the only animals tall enough to reach up and pull the bottom leaves off of the trees. It's going to be one of their main food sources. And that can help to prune the trees. They can end up growing taller and healthier as a result. See, looks like 2 zebra coming over here to the right now. Found a nice patch of hay. Now these are known as Hartman's mountain zebras. That is the least territorial of all the zebra species. And every single one of them has its own completely unique striped pattern. Think of it like how every human being has their own unique fingerprint. In fact, when they're born, the babies, just like horses, are known as foals. With zebras, the babies will imprint their mother's pattern into memory, allowing them to identify their mothers. So they'll follow only their mothers and feed only from their own mothers. Now if you look over here to the left, kind of in between this tree and this den, you can see a pile of African painted dogs lying down. The big ears, the orange coats, and the black and white fur just right up there to the right of that den. Now that is the most successful predator of large mammals in Africa. Now they are equipped with excellent stamina, which will allow them to chase prey for many, many miles in order to exhaust it before finally bringing it down. You can see back there to the left now these very dark brown curved horned animals. Those are known as sable antelope, official emblem of the Harambe Reserve. Males tend to be a little bit darker than the females, especially after maturity. Sometimes they're in a jet black color. It looks like 3 more Hartman's mountain zebras on the left. If you look at their necks, you might see that they have that extra flap of skin hanging down. That is known as a dewlap, and this is the only zebra species that has one. At the moment, it's not quite clear to researchers what that is for. They think that if anything, it's related to thermoregulation or maintaining their body temperature. They might also see some fallen logs and branches about the area. That's pretty typical. Mostly that's thanks to elephants, because as they move through the area, you don't really need to be too careful about walking into trees, because the trees will have branches broken off, or the elephants can even knock the trees down. And when they do that, they can in fact provide an additional food source for some shorter animals who can clean the leaves off of those branches or off of those fallen trees. See coming up here, one wildebeest pretty close to us. There's actually a number of them spread out over this hill coming up. Now wildebeest are very well known for their migrations. In fact, they have the 2nd largest migration of any land animal. You can see a bunch more over here, all of them enjoying the nice warm sun. second largest migration, second only to humans in the size of our migrations. You can also see farther back on the right some springbok, national animal of South Africa, very, very small. And you can see these giraffes now. Looks like 4 of them over here to the right. Another one, smaller one over there, getting some of those leaves from that bush. Tallest land animals in the world, giraffes can reach heights of between 18 and 20 feet on average. You can see another one pretty close to us up here on the left, very interested in these palm fronds. Now, not only are giraffes tall, but they also have excellent eyesight, which will allow them to spot predators from a long distance away, so that's a really nice advantage for them when it comes to their survival. Now, because of that, being closer to the ground, meaning that they wouldn't be able to see as far, kind of makes giraffes uncomfortable, so it's not often that you'll see them lying down or sitting. They'll even sleep standing up usually, and giraffes in general only need to sleep about 30 minutes a day. Now, as we come forward here, be on the lookout to the left, because I do know of a troop of mandrills, largest monkey in the world, that likes to hang out up here. Keep our eyes peeled. Sometimes they are a little bit shy, so if you don't see them, they're probably hanging out in the bushes or by the trees. You can also see this African elephant in the distance over there to the right. I think we'll get a closer look actually as we move forward here. Now, as we come forward, you can actually have a look at the ears on the elephant. Now, on an African elephant, the ears kind of resemble the continent of Africa, whereas on an Asian elephant, the ears are much rounder by comparison. Now, as the sun climbs higher in the day, it's pretty often that you'll see them picking up clumps of sand, dirt, mud, or even grass and tossing it onto their backs. That's going to be a way to protect their sensitive skin. They are able to get sunburned, and so they do their best to protect themselves. Occasionally, if it's also hot, you can sometimes see them rolling around in cool patches of sand or mud as well. But we are moving now into elephant country, and so we are going to be on the lookout for some more as we come up here. Actually, something that's been learned about elephants in recent years is that they are really afraid of bees, so that even just hearing the buzzing of bees can be enough to keep them out of an area. And knowing that has been really helpful when it comes to working out a conflict between farmers and elephants. Occasionally, elephants wander onto farmland, and as I said before with the trees, elephants don't really have to be too careful about what they walk into because most things just fall right over. So when they come onto the farmers' fields, they can end up causing a lot of damage to the crops. In the past, it unfortunately meant that elephants were harmed or killed to stop them from doing that. It doesn't have to happen that way though, because the Elephant Bee Project has found a unique solution. They're using the knowledge that elephants will avoid bees to help protect the farmers' fields and the elephants from harm. So they've invented beehive fences, and they're setting them up over these farmers' fields all around them. And on approach, the elephants will either hear or see the bees, and they will stay clear of the fields. So the elephants are safely out of the way, the farmers' crops are safe, and as an added bonus, the farmers that participate are able to sell some of the honey that their bees make for some additional profit. So a solution like that where everyone benefits is definitely in the spirit of conservation. I can see at least one elephant here to the left, picking up the last remnants of a bit of food there on the ground. So not only will their trunks be muscular and powerful enough to wrap around heavy objects and pick them up, even human beings they can pick up with their trunks, but also the very tips of them can do some finer work. The tips are prehensile, so just like our fingers, they'll pick things up with them. Beautiful tusks growing out. Their tusks are in fact modified teeth. I see a couple more up here. See the one having a nice bit of that hay on top of her head and backside. Now, elephants have a matriarchal society, so they are led by the matriarch, who tends to be the mother of many of the herd's members. Elephants, in fact, have the longest known pregnancy of any land mammal. Their pregnancies can last almost 2 years, about 22 to 24 months is an elephant pregnancy. Now, coming over here to the left, you'll be looking at a flamboyance. That is what we call a group of flamingos. Now, specifically, these are greater flamingos, the lightest pink of all the flamingo species. And in their midst, you might see some that have the right shape, but not quite the right full pink color yet. Those ones are still young. They have not yet eaten all of the beta carotene necessary to turn them fully pink. So it'll be a little bit longer. Now, the flamingos are getting that beta carotene through their diet of very, very tiny microorganisms in the water that they stir up using their feet. Some of them are called brine shrimp, and they'll actually filter them out using their bills. Now, right over here to the left, you'll see this white animal with the long curved horns. That's known as the scimitar horned oryx. Fabulously adapted for life in a dry climate. They can survive for 9 months without drinking any water. And you'll see the largest, heaviest bird species in the world here to the left, this ostrich. A fun fact about ostriches that you can share with your friends: their eyes are larger than their brains. Now, they don't need to be very smart to be well adapted for survival, because their long, powerful legs can carry them up to 40 miles per hour. When you can run like that, you don't have to worry about too many predators. You'll also see this water buck here to the left with the white ring on its rear end. Water bucks, like their name suggests, they love the water. They'll actually spend most of their day in and around a source of water that they very much enjoy. Now, up here on the left, I can see, it looks like 2 cheetahs. 1 and 2 farther back there to the left. Fastest land animals in the world. Cheetahs can go from 0 to over 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. The maximum length of movement out of every stride they take. They can compress and then expand, getting a very, very long stride. In fact, there are points at which, when they run, no 4 of their paws touch the ground. Now, strictly speaking, cheetahs are not considered big cats. One main reason for that is that they cannot roar. So the cats that are able to roar, lions, tigers, leopards, and jaguars, are considered the big cats. The reason why they can roar but not purr is because the hyoid bone in their skulls is fixed in place. But in cheetahs and similar and smaller cats, the hyoid bone in their skull is attached to the skull with cartilage, enabling it to vibrate, which is what will give you that purring sound. Over here on this ledge up to the left, if you look where the tall clumps of grass are, I do see a male lion resting his head facing the sun right up here. Now, they will sleep roughly 16 to 20 hours a day. Being more active at night, they like to store, you can actually see a female right behind him as well. They like to store up their energy during the day in order to move their massive muscular bodies around. It takes a lot of energy for them. Now, one reason why they like being up high like that is that it will allow their roars to travel farther without as much terrain blocking the sound waves, so the roars can travel farther. It's important that they be heard because roaring is one of the ways that they will mark their territory. Now, here on the left, we see a couple of warthogs. Warthogs are related to wild boars. And they get that name because the males will in fact get these wart-like growths on their faces, in between their eyes and on the sides of their head, which will really just give their skin some extra armor, some extra protection. You can see another water buck on the right. You'll also see, looks like 3 white rhinos back there. The white rhino is the larger of the 2 species of rhinoceros in Africa, able to get all the way up to 5,000 pounds in weight. Now, rhinos in general do not have very good eyesight. In fact, they'll see about 10 feet in front of them or so clearly, and then the rest will start to get a little bit blurry, which is why more than anything you'll see them using their hearing in order to keep a check on their environment, so their ears move around like radar dishes, taking in stock of all the sounds. We call a group of rhinos a crash. Pretty easy to remember because they can charge up to 35 miles per hour, potentially crashing into things. Well, it looks like the wardens here are almost finished constructing this new outpost. Outposts like this across the reserve will be stocked with food and water supplies, as well as with spotting and radio equipment. All in all, it will allow them to keep a better eye on the animals of the reserve, watch out for poachers, and in general make sure the animals are safe and protected on the reserve. Well, friends, it looks like our safari's coming to an end, but hopefully your journey with wild things and wild places doesn't end here. Don't forget to keep looking for and learning more about different animals throughout your day here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, but especially when you head home, there will be animals and other wildlife sharing the land with you, also calling those places home that you can respect and learn about. That can be a fantastic way to begin the work of conservation. By being more aware of the life sharing the world around us wherever we are, that can foster the desire to protect and maintain it. That's something really simple that we can do in our daily lives that can help out aquatic habitats. By switching to reusable straws instead of using disposable plastic straws, for instance, when you go out to eat. That could be a significant way to help cut down on plastic waste from entering the waterways that can be harmful to a lot of turtle species in particular. Now, friends, we'll be back at that dock in just a few more moments here, so have a look around your seats and make sure that you have gathered up all of your personal belongings. And here in Harambe, we don't like to say goodbye, as goodbye is simply too final. Because remember, you're always welcome to come back again and see us on safari, no two of which are ever the same. So instead of goodbye, what we say here is kwaherini, which means go well. So go well, friends. Enjoy the rest of your day. Once again, I'm Adam. You've been riding with Simba 1. It has been a pleasure. Now go out there and make a difference.